This week, one of the biggest companies on Earth reported record cloud revenue and watched its free cash flow shrink. Another watched its free cash flow disappear entirely. The companies that sell to the AI builders raise their forecasts anyway. 57% of enterprises have deployed AI. 11% have hit their top 2 goals. And in Washington, the argument stopped being whether to govern AI and became who gets to. This is the English Brief, weekly edition. 5 stories from the week's business and tech news, and 20 brand new words from this channel, plus a stack from last week, taught exactly where they belong, inside real news. By the end, you won't just know these words, you'll know the week. First, one bonus phrase, not part of this week's 20, just the one I need to open with. 30 seconds to bring you up to speed.
Bring someone up to speed. To give someone the latest information so they know what's happening. From the news, 30 seconds to bring you up to speed on the week. One more. Can you bring the new manager up to speed before Friday?
Early in the week, the setup was already written. One Forbes headline called it plainly. A big earnings week would test Wall Street's AI spending fears. Last week, you learned that investors had stopped reading the revenue line and started reading the line item labeled AI infrastructure. This week, they got the numbers. Microsoft's Azure business passed $100 billion in annual revenue. And the same report noted that record AI spending was cutting into cash flow. Meta and Microsoft both reported ballooning AI expenses. And a Reuters headline delivered the sentence of the week. Meta's free cash flow was wiped out as the AI build-out grew. Sit with that. Revenue at record highs, cash flow at 0. Run through the 3 reports together, and the same shape appears in each. That is what happens when a company pours money into infrastructure faster than the business returns it. Not spends, pours. A continuous high-volume flow. The way you describe water, not a purchase. The word investors reached for is burn rate. How fast a company consumes its cash. Startups have always lived by burn rate. It tells you how many months you have left. This week, the phrase migrated upward to companies with hundreds of billions in revenue. When the biggest firms in the world start being read like startups, something has changed. And there's a specific fear underneath it. Cost overrun. Not, we're spending a lot, that's a plan. A cost overrun is spending more than the plan said you would. Data centers are construction projects. Land, power, chips, cooling. Construction projects overrun. That's why the market keeps asking whether the announced figure is the real figure or just another ballpark figure. Not everyone was punished. Apple reclaimed the title of the world's most valuable public company, and separately, one report described Apple as banking on privacy to set its smart glasses apart. Was the market rewarding restraint? The headlines don't say that, so I won't. What they show is that the crown moved in a week when spending was the accusation. The soft spots were visible too. Xbox revenue dropped 10%, even as Microsoft's cloud and AI business surged. Headwinds in one room, a boom in the next. Inside the same company. And by the end of the week, tech stocks tumbled on worries over AI spending and China's chips, while a New York Times headline summarized the whole mood. Big tech's AI spending keeps rising, so do the jitters. A Wall Street Journal exclusive put a number on the damage in one corner of the market. Situational awareness, down 67% in July, in what the paper called an AI stock rout. So does anybody stop? That would be retrenchment, a deliberate pulling back, cutting spending or staff to protect the balance sheet. Note the difference from last week's scale back. Scaling back is a decision about one plan. Retrenchment is a posture, a whole defensive stance. Nobody announced retrenchment this week. Nobody even publicly held off on the next data center. But the market spent 5 days asking who would blink first.
Pour into. To put money, time, or effort into something continuously and in large amounts. From the news, Companies are pouring money into infrastructure faster than the business returns it. One more. She poured 3 years into that project before it launched. Burn rate. How fast a company uses up its cash, usually measured per month. From the news. The burn rate question moved from startups to trillion-dollar companies. One more. At this burn rate, we have 8 months of runway left. Cost overrun. Spending that goes above the approved budget for a project. From the news. Data centers are construction projects, and construction projects invite cost overruns. One more. The renovation had a 40% cost overrun. We paid for it out of savings. Retrenchment. A deliberate cutting back of spending, staff, or operations to survive pressure. From the news. Nobody announced retrenchment this week, but the market kept asking who would blink. One more. After 2 bad quarters, the company entered a period of retrenchment.